face your dark side, Carl Jung, and the shadow in the vast landscape of human consciousness, there lies a realm often unexplored, misunderstood, and feared. This realm, known as the shadow, is a concept introduced by the renowned psychologist Carl Jung. It represents the aspects of ourselves that we have repressed, denied, or hidden away from our conscious awareness. These are the parts of our personality that we deem unacceptable, shameful, or threatening to our self-image. As we embark on this journey of self-discovery, we must first acknowledge that each of us carries within us a shadow self. It's not a question of if we have a shadow, but rather how aware we are of its existence and influence in our lives. The shadow is not inherently evil or malicious, it is simply the repository of all that we have pushed away from our conscious self. I think for a moment about the qualities you admire most in others. Now, consider the traits that you find most repulsive or offensive. Could it be that these very qualities, both positive and negative, reside within you as well? This is the paradox of the shadow. It contains not only our darkest impulses, but also our greatest potential for growth and wholeness. The shadow forms in our early years as we learn to adapt to our environment and the expectations placed upon us by society, family, and culture. We internalize messages about what is acceptable and what is not, what is praiseworthy and what is shameful. In response, we begin to suppress certain aspects of our personality, pushing them into the depths of our unconscious mind.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
But here's the crucial point: what is repressed does not disappear. It continues to exist, exerting its influence on our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in ways we may not even realize. The energy of the shadow seeks expression, often manifesting in projection, the tendency to see in others the very qualities we have disowned in ourselves. Have you ever found yourself intensely irritated by someone's behavior, only to later realize that you sometimes exhibit the same trait? This is projection at work, a defense mechanism that allows us to avoid confronting our own shadow aspects by attributing them to others. The shadow also reveals itself in our dreams, our slips of the tongue, and in moments when we act out of character. It's in these unguarded moments that we catch glimpses of our hidden self, the parts of us that we've kept locked away. But why should we concern ourselves with exploring this dark territory of the psyche? The answer lies in the profound impact that the shadow has on our lives when left unexamined. Unacknowledged shadow aspects can lead to self-sabotage, destructive behaviors, and a sense of inner conflict that prevents us from living authentically and fulfilling our true potential. Moreover, the collective shadow of society, the shared repressed aspects of human nature, can manifest in deeply troubling ways, from prejudice and discrimination to large-scale conflicts and atrocities. By facing our individual shadows, we contribute to the healing of the collective shadow as well. The path of shadow work is not an easy one. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves. But it is through this confrontation that we can achieve greater self-awareness, integration, and ultimately personal transformation. As we delve deeper into the concept of the shadow, I invite you to reflect on these questions. What parts of yourself have you been hiding or denying? What qualities in others trigger strong emotional reactions in you? How might your life change if you were to embrace all aspects of your being, both light and dark? Remember, the goal of shadow work is not to eliminate the shadow, for it is an integral part of who we are, but to bring it into conscious awareness. By doing so, we can harness its energy for positive growth and development, rather than allowing it to control us from the depths of our unconscious. In the sections that follow, we will explore practical ways to identify and integrate our shadow aspects. Examine the transformative potential of shadow work and consider its implications for our relationships and society at large. Are you ready to embark on this challenging yet profoundly rewarding journey of self-discovery? Let us venture forth with open minds and courageous hearts into the depths of our own psyche, unveiling the hidden techniques for shadow identification and integration as we delve deeper into the realm of the shadow. We must equip ourselves with tools and techniques to identify and integrate these hidden aspects of our psyche. The process of shadow work is not about eradicating our dark side, but about bringing it into the light of consciousness, where its energy can be transformed and utilized for our growth. One powerful method for shadow identification is through mindful self-observation. Pay close attention to your emotional reactions, especially those that seem disproportionate to the situation at hand. When you find yourself experiencing intense anger, jealousy, or judgment towards others, pause and ask yourself, what about this person or situation is triggering me so strongly? Could this be reflecting a disowned part of myself? Dreams provide another rich source of shadow material. Our unconscious mind often communicates through dream imagery, presenting us with symbolic representations of our repressed aspects. Keep a dream journal and look for recurring themes or characters that evoke strong emotions. These may be personifications of your shadow, inviting you to acknowledge and integrate them. Projection, as we discussed earlier, is a key mechanism through which the shadow reveals itself. Notice the qualities you tend to criticize most harshly in others. These often point to disowned aspects of yourself. The next time you find yourself judging someone, turn that judgment inward and ask, how might this quality exist within me? Another effective technique is active imagination, a method developed by Jung himself. This involves entering a meditative state and engaging in dialogue with aspects of your shadow. Visualize your shadow as a character or entity and have a conversation with it. What does it want you to know? What needs or desires is it expressing? As we begin to identify our shadow aspects, the next step is integration. This doesn't mean acting out our shadow impulses, but rather acknowledging them and finding healthy ways to express their underlying needs and energies. One approach is to look for the positive intention behind shadow behaviors. For instance, if you identify a tendency towards manipulative behavior in your shadow, consider that this might stem from a need for security or control. How can you address these needs in a more conscious, ethical manner? Creativity can be a powerful tool for shadow integration. Express your shadow aspects through art, writing, or movement. This allows for a safe outlet and can lead to profound insights and healing. It's crucial to approach this work with self-compassion. Remember, your shadow formed as a survival mechanism, a way to protect yourself in your early environment. Thank it for its service, even as you work to bring its energies into more conscious expression. As you engage in this process, you may find that your shadow contains not only negative qualities, but also positive ones that you've been afraid to own. Perhaps you've repressed your ambition, creativity, or sensuality due to societal or familial expectations. Integrating these aspects can lead to a more fulfilling, authentic life. Consider this: how might your life change if you could harness the energy tied up in your shadow? What new possibilities might open up if you were no longer driven by unconscious forces? The journey of shadow integration is ongoing. It's not about reaching a final destination, but about continually expanding our self-awareness and capacity for wholeness. As we do this individual work, we contribute to the healing of the collective shadow as well. In our next section, we'll explore the transformative potential of shadow work and its impact on our relationships and wider society. Are you ready to embrace the fullness of your being, both light and shadow? The path to wholeness awaits. The alchemy of the self-transforming shadow into light as we continue our exploration of the shadow. We now turn to the profound transformative potential that lies within this work. The process of integrating our shadow aspects is nothing short of alchemical. It has the power to transmute the lead of our repressed selves into the gold of self-realization and authentic living. When we begin to embrace our shadow, we often experience a surge of energy. This is because the psychic energy that was once used to repress these aspects of ourselves becomes available for conscious use. It's as if we've unlocked a hidden reservoir of vitality and creativity within us. This newfound energy can manifest in various ways. You might find yourself more confident, more creative, or more capable of asserting your boundaries. The traits you once projected onto others, both positive and negative, become accessible to you, expanding your range of responses to life's challenges. Consider for a moment, what might you accomplish if you could harness the energy you've been using to keep parts of yourself hidden? How might your relationships deepen if you could bring your whole self to them rather than just the parts you deem acceptable? The integration of the shadow also leads to a greater sense of authenticity. As we acknowledge and accept all aspects of ourselves, we no longer need to maintain a false persona. This authenticity is palpable to others and often leads to more genuine, satisfying relationships. Moreover, shadow work can be a powerful antidote to the epidemic of shame that plagues our society. By facing our shadow aspects with compassion and understanding, we begin to heal the deep-seated shame that often underlies them. This healing ripples out into our interactions with others, fostering greater empathy and connection. The transformative power of shadow work extends beyond the individual to our collective experience. As more people engage in this inner work, we see a shift in our societal dynamics. The US vs. them mentality that fuels conflict and division begins to dissolve as we recognize that the qualities we despise in others are often reflections of our own unacknowledged shadow. Imagine a world where individuals are aware of their shadow aspects and take responsibility for them, rather than projecting them onto others. How might this change our political discourse, our approach to social issues, even our global conflicts? However, it's important to note that shadow work is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. As we integrate certain aspects of our shadow, new layers may reveal themselves. This is not a sign of failure, but of growth. Each layer we uncover and integrate brings us closer to wholeness. The journey of shadow integration can be challenging, even frightening at times. We may encounter aspects of ourselves that we find difficult to accept. But remember, the shadow is not the enemy, it is a part of us longing for acknowledgement and integration. As you continue on this path, I encourage you to approach your shadow with curiosity rather than judgment. What might these disowned parts of yourself have to teach you? How might they contribute to your growth and fulfillment if given the chance? In our final section, we'll explore practical ways to sustain this work of shadow integration in our daily lives and consider its implications for our spiritual and psychological development. Are you ready to embrace the fullness of your being, to alchemize your shadow into light? The transformative journey continues. The dance of light and shadow, living with wholeness in an imperfect world. As we reach the culmination of our exploration into the shadow, we find ourselves at a crucial juncture. We've delved into the depths of our psyche, confronted our hidden aspects, and begun the process of integration. Now, the question becomes, how do we sustain this work and embody wholeness in our daily lives? The key lies in cultivating a practice of ongoing self-awareness and radical acceptance. This doesn't mean we passively accept destructive behaviors, but rather that we acknowledge all parts of ourselves with compassion, even as we strive for growth and positive change. One powerful practice is to regularly check in with ourselves, asking, what am I feeling right now? What part of me is speaking? Is this my conscious self or a shadow aspect seeking expression? By maintaining this inner dialogue, we can catch shadow projections before they manifest in harmful ways. Mindfulness meditation can be a valuable tool in this regard. By observing our thoughts and emotions without judgment, we create space between our awareness and our reactions. This space allows us to choose our responses more consciously, rather than being driven by unconscious shadow impulses. It's crucial to remember that integrating our shadow doesn't mean we'll never experience negative emotions or impulses. Rather, it means we can hold these experiences in awareness without being controlled by them. We learn to dance with our shadow, neither suppressing it nor letting it lead. Consider this: how might your life change if you could embrace both your light and shadow aspects with equal acceptance? What new possibilities might emerge if you could harness the full spectrum of your being? As we integrate our shadow, we often find that our spiritual and psychological development accelerates. The energy once used for repression becomes available for growth and self-realization. We may experience a deepening of our intuition, a greater sense of connection with others, and a more profound understanding of the human experience. However, this work is not without its challenges. As we become more whole, we may find ourselves outgrowing certain relationships or situations that no longer align with our authentic selves. This can be painful, but it's a necessary part of the growth process. Moreover, as we do this individual work, we contribute to the healing of the collective shadow. By owning our projections and integrating our disowned aspects, we reduce the burden of unconscious material in the collective psyche. This has far-reaching implications for our societies and our world. Imagine a world where more people are engaged in this inner work. How might our interpersonal relationships change? How might our approach to global challenges shift if we were operating from a place of wholeness rather than fragmentation? As we conclude, I invite you to commit to this ongoing journey of shadow integration. It's not always easy, but it is profoundly rewarding. By embracing all aspects of ourselves, we open the door to a more authentic, fulfilling life and contribute to the healing of our world. Remember, the goal is not perfection, but wholeness. We are all imperfect beings, And it is through acknowledging and integrating our imperfections that we find our true strength and beauty. So I ask you, are you ready to continue this dance of light and shadow? To embrace the fullness of your being with all its complexity and contradiction? The path of wholeness lies before you. Will you take the next step?